In the fall of 1943, as war raged across the globe, the United States Navy was desperate for an edge. Every day, German U-boats prowled the Atlantic, a deadly threat to Allied supply lines. The stakes were impossibly high. Victory depended on innovation, on finding new ways to outsmart the enemy. In the shipyards of Philadelphia, a new kind of weapon was being forged, one that didn't rely on cannons or torpedoes, but on the fundamental forces of the universe itself. The project was top secret, known only to a select few. The goal was audacious: to render a naval destroyer invisible to enemy radar. The vessel chosen for this unprecedented experiment was the USS Eldridge, a Cannon-class destroyer escort. The theory behind it was rooted in the bleeding edge of physics, specifically Albert Einstein's unified field theory, which attempted to link the forces of electromagnetism and gravity. The idea was that by generating an incredibly powerful electromagnetic field around the ship, it could bend light and radio waves, effectively creating a cloak of invisibility. But what happened next? According to a handful of alleged witnesses and one particularly mysterious correspondent, went far beyond simple radar evasion. The story that emerged was not one of scientific triumph, but of a terrifying journey into the unknown, a journey that some say tore a hole in the fabric of reality itself. This is the story of the Philadelphia experiment, an account of what happens when the relentless pursuit of military advantage pushes the boundaries of science into realms we were never meant to explore. The official narrative is simple. The USS Eldridge was never in Philadelphia in the fall of 1943. Naval records place it on its shakedown cruise in the Bahamas. The experiment, as it's been described, never happened. It's a work of fiction, a modern myth born from misinterpretation and the overactive imagination of a man named Carl Allen, who wrote a series of bizarre letters to a UFO researcher in the 1950s. But official denials rarely silence a story this compelling. The accounts that persist paint a very different picture. On the morning of October 28, 1943, at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, the experiment allegedly began. Massive generators aboard the Eldridge hummed to life, their power surging through coils wrapped around the ship's hull. Witnesses on a nearby merchant ship, the SS Andrew Furusith, described a strange, greenish fog beginning to swirl around the destroyer. It wasn't a natural sea mist. It was an eerie, pulsating haze that seemed to emanate from the ship itself. As the generators reached peak power, the fog thickened, completely enveloping the Eldridge. Then, the impossible happened. The ship, a 1,200-ton vessel of solid steel, flickered for a moment. Its outline shimmered, and then, with a blinding flash of blue light, it vanished, not just from radar screens, but from sight. Where the USS Eldridge had been moments before, there was now only the empty water of the Delaware River. The silence that followed was, by all accounts, deafening. The Navy had achieved invisibility, but the victory was short-lived. Panic began to set in at the command center. The ship was gone, completely. What happened in the minutes that followed is the core of this enduring mystery. According to the legend, the Eldridge didn't just become invisible, it was torn from its location in space-time hundreds of miles away, at the naval base in Norfolk, Virginia. Stunned sailors reported seeing a destroyer escort materialize out of thin air in the harbor. Surrounded by the same ghostly green fog, it remained for only a few minutes before vanishing as mysteriously as it had appeared. Back in Philadelphia, the ship reappeared in its original berth. The green fog dissipated, revealing a scene of absolute horror. The experiment had been a success, but the cost was catastrophic. The crew was in disarray. Some men were simply gone, vanished without a trace. Others were found fused to the metal structures of the ship, their bodies embedded in the bulkheads and decks, trapped between two states of matter. Those who survived were changed forever. Many were driven mad, suffering from severe psychological trauma. They spoke of disorientation, of feeling disconnected from the world. There were even stories of sailors who would spontaneously fade in and out of visibility, a terrifying condition they called the freeze. One man was said to have walked through a wall in front of his family, never to be seen again. The Navy, faced with a disaster of unimaginable proportions, allegedly classified the entire project, swearing all personnel to secrecy and altering ship logs to erase any trace of the event. The USS Eldridge was quietly refitted, and its surviving crewmen were discharged or reassigned, their medical records sealed. The truth, if there was a truth to be found, was buried under layers of official denial and national security protocol. So, where does the line between fact and folklore lie? The primary source for this entire story is Carl Allen, who, under the pseudonym Carlos Allende, sent a series of annotated letters to Maurice K. Jessup, an astronomer and author of the book The Case for the UFO. Allende claimed to have witnessed the experiment from the deck of the SS Andrew Furusith. His letters were filled with rambling, esoteric details about Einstein's theories, invisibility, and teleportation. Jessup was intrigued but skeptical. However, his book, annotated with Allende's strange comments, mysteriously found its way to the Office of Naval Research. The ONR was so interested that they funded a small, private printing of the annotated version, distributing it internally. This act alone has fueled conspiracy theories for decades. Why would the Navy be so interested in the ravings of a seemingly unstable merchant mariner? Was it a simple curiosity, or were they trying to decipher a secret they already knew to be true? Researchers have spent years trying to corroborate the story. They've pointed to degassing, a real naval process used to make ships invisible to magnetic mines, as a possible source of the legend. Degassing involves wrapping a ship in large electrical cables and passing a powerful current through them, a procedure that, to an uninformed observer, might look like a strange and secret experiment. But degassing doesn't explain teleportation. It doesn't explain men fused into steel. It doesn't explain the deep psychological scars reported by the alleged survivors. Veterans from the USS Eldridge have consistently denied that anything unusual ever happened. Yet, the story endures, passed down through generations of paranormal investigators and conspiracy theorists. Perhaps the Philadelphia experiment isn't about one single event. Perhaps it's a cautionary tale. A story about the seductive allure of power and the unforeseen consequences of unchecked ambition. In our quest to master the laws of nature, we risk unleashing forces we cannot control or even comprehend. The line between groundbreaking science and catastrophic hubris is dangerously thin. The universe is a place of profound mystery. We have mapped the stars and plumbed the depths of the ocean, but the fundamental nature of reality itself remains largely unknown. Is it possible that for one terrifying moment in 1943, a group of scientists and sailors accidentally peeled back a layer of that reality and glimpsed something they were unsupposed to see? The official records say no. The surviving documents say it's a fantasy. But for those who believe, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. It is merely a testament to the depths of the cover-up. The truth, they say, is still out there, hidden in a classified file, or perhaps locked away in the fractured memories of the last few survivors. What really happened to the USS Eldridge may be a secret that went to the grave with the men who were there, and perhaps that's where it's meant to stay. This story forces us to question our own understanding of the world. It exists in the gray area between known science and the seemingly impossible. What do you think? Was the Philadelphia experiment a real event, covered up by the military? Or is it one of the most elaborate and persistent myths of the 20th century? The search for answers continues. Thanks for joining us on this investigation. If you find these dives into the unknown as fascinating as we do, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We've got many more mysteries to explore together. Let us know your theories in the comments below. Until next time, keep questioning.